afternoon from LA, wrestling fans, on a day where the tribal chief Roman Reigns defended his his undisputed Universal Championship against Cody Rhodes in what was one of the most shocking finishes in recent WWE history. There's also been another shocking event in WWE history, and that is the sale of the company, as the company is set to be sold to Endeavor, with the deal set to be confirmed later this year, with no time frame given. But it's going to have to go through a few procedures and all of that technical stuff before it gets passed. But yeah, it looks like the company is going to be sold to Endeavor, like we spoke about on the show yesterday. And we're going to get into that. I'm going to explain to you what it all means, break it down, and all of that good stuff. But firstly, let me introduce my guests here today. Firstly, to my right, your left, we have Mr. Anthony Ricciardi. How are you, Anthony?
All right. We're running the gauntlet now for Raw tonight, too. Thanks,
We got people off screen again, you know. We're still in the hotel, guys, but we are killing it over here in LA. And also joining me, somebody else who has been killing it on this trip, Clark Taylor. How are you, Clark?
I'm good. I appreciate it, man. It's been a heck of a weekend thus far. I'm just happy to be back once again. And I just got a text message. It looks like your mic is not working, Anthony. I'm going to give this a shot really quick and see if we can't fix it. Can we get a little test? Can we hear Anthony now? Couldn't hear him still? Might have to be passing mics.
Oh gosh.
Any luck now,
We're back
Carter?
in the dark ages.
Give it one more shot. I don't know. We'll see if this text comes through.
This is the thing with live radio, guys. There's audio issues, but
It would be the one guy that usually doesn't use a mic at home.
Yeah. Can you hear him now? Soul? Can you hear him? Hang on, give this a shot now.
Is the mic
How about now?
busted?
How about now?
You got me?
Nothing? No good?
Wow.
All right. All righty. We will be probably passing mics. How about now?
Anything?
Nothing.
Oh,
Okay.
oh, gosh.
So
we're back in the dark
we will
ages.
pass the mic.
I'm gonna have to be a classic WWE interview, but that is all good. That is what I will do for today's show.
Hey, grab that other cord. We'll plug it in, and then we'll pass the mic. I'm gonna unplug this cord as we speak. It goes around that way. Chaos will assist, and then let's get on with the show until we get this audio issue sorted out for Anthony really quickly.
Absolutely. And
But,
honestly, it's not an awful time to do it anyway, because I need to
Right.
talk about the sale, and I've got quite a few things which I need to break down, talk to you all about. Let me talk to you, in the words of LA Knight. But yeah, Endeavor Group Holdings and Sport Entertainment Powerhouse WWE have made an official agreement on Monday, unveiling a new definitive agreement to form a new publicly listed company consisting of two iconic complementary global sports and entertainment brands, in something which is basically unheard of. This business deal is completely unheard of. It's crazy. Nothing like it has ever been really seen before. But yeah, Endeavor will hold 51% of controlling interest in the new company, with the existing WWE shareholders owning a 49% stake in it. But yeah, the new company will be led by Endeavor CEO Ari Emanuel, who's a man whose name you should know if you're a wrestling fan now, because he's going to be very important going forward. And Vince McMahon will be the executive chairman and majority shareholder, with then Mark Shapiro being the chief operating officer of both Endeavor and the new company. And then below them, Dana White will continue his role as president of the UFC, with Nick Khan being the equivalent on the WWE side, but named as the WWE CEO. The board of directors on the new firm will consist of 11 members, according to the Hollywood Reporter, with six named by Endeavor and 5 designated by WWE. So yeah, that's how the 11 will be made up. Now, a lot of people are asking, what does this mean from a creative standpoint? Well, Vince McMahon answered that question today. He has said that he is no longer going to be, involved in the little details and stuff like that. But in the bigger picture, yes, he's back in creative. He has confirmed it. Vince is back. However, I don't think this is even similar to a Heyman Vince thing like we had in 2019. I actually think this is even, I think Triple H will have even more power than Heyman did then. Because I really think that Vince is just going to be keep checking, the overall results, who's champion, who's not champion, all of that good stuff. The WrestleMania card, little things like that. I think, I say little things, they are quite important things. But I don't think it's going to be Vince McMahon booking Raw week to week and all of that stuff. So I don't know if it's going to be a massive difference on screen. We'll have to wait and find out. But Clark, I'm going to take it to you first.
Absolutely.
I mean, what are your thoughts on this entire thing? I mean, it's crazy to think about, isn't it?
I mean, the whole thing, it's hard to figure out exactly where to start for me. The whole thing's mind-blowing. I've had as a huge MMA fan, as you know, I've known about Endeavor and then the UFC side of Endeavor for long time. And then not only that, ironically, I mean, I love the show Entourage. Ari Gold's based on Ari Emanuel, and I've always had a healthy respect for Ari Emanuel as an agent and a businessman and all of that. It's kind of the perfect storm. Like, you have the perfect amount of names,
Exactly.
The amount of clout you have in those titles you just named between Nick Khan, Dana White, and Vince McMahon, Ari Emanuel, even Mark Shapiro. Mark Shapiro in combat sports is well known. There's a reason he gets mentioned after every UFC broadcast. And from a production standpoint, having that partnership with ESPN on the UFC side, I don't know what this means necessarily for Peacock or streaming. No, okay. Yeah, I don't know necessarily what it equates to. I think at the end of the day, it's one of those things where we're gonna find out little pieces along the way. Does Peacock now get the UFC library too? Is that something that we could see? Does ESPN get the WWE library? Is that something we could see?
And that's probably a couple years out because they signed a 5-year
Yeah,
deal
there's
with
still
Peacock,
multiple
so you have
years
4
left from
years of
Peacock.
that. But when that rights go up, that'll be the question of whether or not it goes to ESPN.
Yeah, sorry, I'm going to have to
Gotcha.
hand you the mic, Anthony, to repeat it.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Just
look
unplug it.
you look at the Peacock deal. That's going at least another 5 years or a few more years, because I think it was a 5-year deal when they initially signed it. So when that goes up, that will be the question of whether or not, does it stay on Peacock? Does it go to ESPN Plus? Does it become a whole nother entity again? I mean, that'll be the big question, but none of those answers we're going to have anytime soon.
Right. And I mean, even on top of that, I find it fascinating. It seemed controversial at the time when Money in the Bank happened, and you're talking about, Allegiant Stadium, and then suddenly it's moved to the Garden Arena, and then next thing you know, it's the doubleheader of the century, and the WWE brass is at both. I'm wondering if we're going to see more things like that, like a WWE card on an International Fight Week in Vegas.
Yeah.
Kind of co-promotional type stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Things like that would be excellent. I mean, you could almost do a back-to-back pay-per-view in a way at different venues, especially in Las Vegas, with UFC being headquartered there and the connections they have buildings wise. That type of stuff is going to be fascinating for sure. Or even, I mean, crossover type stuff. Could you imagine a card maybe where you end up with a sanctioned mixed martial arts fight in the middle of a right? If we, opportunities like that are I don't know exactly the way I would do it, but the opportunities are endless. A partnership like this is a juggernaut.
Yeah.
I mean, to have this big of business names in the same group on the same page at the same time is it's unheard of almost.
Yeah. Well, it
right?
is. This entire deal's
it'd be a little bit like the NBA and NFL partnering.
Yeah.
It doesn't, it's completely unprecedented.
Yeah. It's
right?
crazy.
And I think we're in for some exciting stuff. The Vince creative part, of course, it scares every true pro wrestling fan. But I'll say this, at his age, I don't know how much energy he's got left to stay involved. I understand he's Vince McMahon and he's always been, gung-ho and ready to go. But like at the same time, mean, he's in his 70s.
Yeah.
He's in his 70s. So I don't know how much he's got left to give outside of maybe some pointers or some finishing touches, maybe putting some cherries on cakes and bows on presents. And that would be fine with me. If that's the role that they choose for Vince, I'm all good with that.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, though, the biggest takeaway for me is he got more money than we ever fathomed.
Oh, yeah.
Not just him, but the WWE in general. This was much bigger than we all thought. And I find it fascinating. All those financial figures that came out about this Mania and all of that. And even down to Roman retaining all these little things. This sale is a huge deal, man. It just was. This was in the work for a long time. We've talked about it for a long time. And it's industry shifting, but I think in a positive way.
No, I do.
I think for all parties, I think it's positive for AEW.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was saying this actually last night to I was talking to Sol about it. This deal is you'd have to presume this deal is significantly better for AEW than it would be if Disney bought WWE, because we know what Disney are like with competitors. Disney want to wipe out competitors completely, whereas Endeavor, at least with UFC so far, they've obviously not letting their fighters fight for other promotions or anything, but they're not trying to kill off other promotions.
Well, I mean, and I would point to your point. It's a great point. You look at the UFC; they actually find the other promotions beneficial. They traded a former champion in a trade between companies, former champion and Mighty Mouse Demetrius Johnson, one of the greatest 125 pounders of all time. They traded him for Ben Askren to win championships. Yeah. I mean, the fact they're willing to negotiate and not, it's a different strategy. It's a different style, but I actually really like it because the better Bellator does, the more you want to watch UFC.
Of course.
And the better one does, the more you want to watch UFC.
Of course.
And I think it can be the same wrestling. The better AEW does, the better New Japan does, the more you want to watch WWE.
Yeah.
Because it's for fans that love it like we do, you can't get enough of it, right?
Yeah.
Like, for example, I love basketball. During the Olympics, the Olympic basketball is like bonus points. And that it should be like in wrestling, I think, too. The direct competition, I think, has become overblown because of the history from the territory days, because of the history with the Monday Night Wars. I think it's something we default to. Yeah. Well, they have to be at each other's throats. They can both exist and almost benefit each other. And that's something I think is far too often overlooked.
Absolutely. I literally 110% agree. You got Chaos clapping there off camera. But Anthony, do you have anything to add about this?
Yeah, a couple things. One of the things that Clark mentioned about if UFC and WWE do UFC fights on WWE pay-per-views, I don't think they would do that only because I think the UFC fans would get suspicious of going, is this predetermined?
Right.
But I could totally see them doing a WWE pay-per-view in an afternoon and the UFC at night, or vice versa, or whatever they wanted to do, or back-to-back nights like WrestleMania. I could totally see them doing that. As far as Triple H being creative, I think the major difference between Triple H and creative and Paul Heyman is creative is because they're technically family and Paul Heyman is not. Vince's age is a factor. Say what you want about Vince. He's not perfect, but the man has done more in this business creatively and made more money in this business than anybody else. And the fact that he's a resource that they can go to promotion wise, whatever, not to mention the production videos, like the WrestleMania packages. Nobody touches WWE with the production packages.
I will say that the UFC might be the second closest, which is interesting because you combine those production teams. Holy hell.
And just the tape library alone. You look at UFC's tape library and WWE's tape library, that package deal. I mean, I can't believe Vince got what he got for WWE as a whole. So when that rights deal comes up, it's going to be significant. So that's a huge factor.
I also wonder, with the experience and the ability that the UFC's had to make a success out of the Ultimate Fighter series, if they don't help each other out and revamp Tough Enough in a way where Tough Enough is even more, because the Ultimate Fighters almost can't miss. It's a little stale now after 26 seasons, but there's, or whatever it is, 28, I think now seasons. But there's There's a reason it's gone that many seasons. Tough
Well-
enough. There's a reason it's kind of been on again, off again.
Well-
Green light, red light. And I'm wondering if you don't go talk to
Well-
Dana and Endeavor and then go, what do we do for this? Because
Well, think about the merchandising,
oh, absolutely.
because WWE makes so much merch that UFC really doesn't take advantage of it. And the other interesting factor is, let's talk about the video games. WWE's under 2K,
this
UFC's
is
under
EA Sports.
So you're not going to see any crossover
There.
immediately, but there may be a massive deal down the road.
Although I wonder if this was being whispered about long ago because Brock's in both games.
Yeah,
That
Brock's-
blows me away.
Brock's
Brock
a
is in
separate-
both games.
Yeah,
So's Ronda.
yeah. I was going to say wrong.
Brock and Ronda are both in both games.
So I could totally see them doing something with all that stuff. I mean, think about like the mini titles and
Oh
all
my
these other
goodness.
merchandise they sell.
The only thing I would say that and because I totally agree with you, especially on the merchandising, in the UFC in the early years when it was more independent, it was a lot easier because you would have at the events you could get the UFC merchandise, but then also fighters could have their own independent sponsors.
Yeah.
So you could get their sponsor shirts online or whatever
Yeah,
before
yeah.
you went to the show. When they signed the Reebok deal and then switched over again to I'm blanking around Venom, thank you.
Yeah.
It's exclusive. They can't get other sponsors. And so while they do have solid merchandising, you can get the Cornerman t-shirts with the name on the back, right? You can get the
Yeah.
you can get the trunks, you can get all of the various stuff. To your point, the more open-minded individual branding thought for really capitalizing on merch is something to be seriously considered, because there's a gold mine. I mean, it's a money cannon if we end up with WWE style unique. You're at Jones Stipe and they both have their, it's not just UFC and then it says their name on the back like the Cornerman wear. It's a design t-shirt, like
Yeah.
you know, the wrestling shirts we all wear as wrestling fans from time to time. It's specific to the not character but the person in the UFC,
Yeah.
right? And it's thought out like that. I would have bought a lot more UFC merch if that's the
Absolutely.
case, and that's an excellent point, right?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, the one thing I will say, to be honest with you guys, about the idea of a game with them both together is so exciting and all of that, or even the TV deal being in one place with a tape library. Here's why I don't think it'll happen. Because you got people, right, who will pay for a lot of people who buy the WWE video game also buy the UFC video game,
Right.
and it makes no sense. There's obviously obviously the people who only buy one, right? But even still, having the game separate, and even with different, maybe it will both be EA, make both whatever. But even if they are still separate, I think it'd still be more profitable. And the same goes with the tape library. I don't even think the media deal will be sold together. I think it'll be. If they end up together, that's one thing, but I don't think it's necessarily going to be sold together. I think they're going to sell it separately because I think that's where they'll actually earn more money.
See-
It's worth more combined. It's worth more combined.
I-
Honestly,
see-
it's more content.
It's worth more, but I don't think it's worth more than individually combined.
I completely hear where you're coming from, but this is what I would say. And it's really funny because you and I have had private conversations. We're staying in this room, me and Ben. I showed him Sports Center. They don't have that in the UK. I showed him Sports Center,
Yeah.
ESPN. Currently, the UFC tape library internationally is still on UFC Fight Pass, similarly to the network and Peacock situation. ESPN Plus, which is incredibly user friendly. This is no knock on Peacock. I subscribe to both, by the way, guys. So don't get on me for it. I like them both, but at the end of the day, ESPN Plus is significantly more user friendly than Peacock. It's really not close. It's just a better platform all around. It's the search works perfectly every time. You can find exactly what you want to watch. If you're in the middle of a live show, you can actually do picture in picture and put on a second live show.
Yeah,
if you want
that's
to.
nice, yeah.
It's a very, very, very thorough streaming platform. And my belief would be, given WME's tied to ESPN, to take ESPN Plus global, launch it globally, get rid of Fight Pass and the network, which are still only operating internationally, correct?
Pardon?
So the theory that I'm presenting is, if they were to take, if they were to take if they were to take a
BFAB on Instagram is currently wearing UFC and WWE merch.
yeah, so
That's
the
interesting.
merch wise, that I would assume that those would be
Breaking.
under a different umbrella, but
Yeah.
I thank you, Soul, by the way. Actually, that's a really good get. But kind of what I'm saying here is ESPN Plus, given how great of a platform it is in America, you have Fight Pass and you have the network, which only operate internationally. The way to take ESPN Plus global is offering both. If you have both libraries added to ESPN's 30 for 30 library, their live TV library, the international soccer deals that they've pulled off of late, this is something that could be seriously beneficial to both companies. And I think combining the merch too, goodness gracious sakes alive, you're kidding me.
And keep it in mind, Clark, ESPN Plus is all tied to Disney. It's Disney owned. Bob Iger's back in control. It's all about brand extension for them.
Right.
There's a reason Iger was bought back into position.
Right.
He gets it. It's
when Iger instead of buying is going to be, I think, more willing, to your point,
yes,
to do the streaming partnership, and
that's where
we'll take you on ESPN. That's where the money's at for him right now.
Yes.
And he saved himself what, 21 billion? Whoops.
Yeah.
I guess that's good.
Yeah. Well, you got multiple streaming platforms. They have Hulu, they have ESPN Plus,
Yeah.
they have Disney. I mean, that's what Iger would want it for, is the tape library, and he could still get it, and it'll just be not necessarily them owning it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of those things too, is to add to like the all-star team of executives that you have, really.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about like the we help you, you help us type stuff.
Yeah.
Being sister companies in that way, like that's a scary, that's a beast. It's a
an
beast.
Absolute beast.
It's cool, but it's a beast.
I don't know. When it comes to streaming and so, I think it would be huge, absolutely huge, if Disney was to get them, or anybody. If anybody was to, even Peacock, if they were to get both of them together, that would be humongous, an absolute monster. But it comes back to Raw and SmackDown. The deals, they were offered more for them separate than they were for them together, and that's why.
Which I completely understand, but
don't know.
But here's what I would say is, so for example, like Disney Plus, like ESPN Plus, was kind of the test sample.
Oh, it was,
right? And then they, yes,
they offer bundle packages.
Now they offer the bundle
to get all of them.
Right, but initially ESPN was the one, and I think to take the ESPN as the sports brand under the Disney umbrella global, having the two biggest juggernauts in the combat sports world, maybe you add DAZN as a partnership. Now you're unbeatable. Now you have arguably the biggest boxing promoter on the planet outside of maybe Arum, who's not going to do that deal, or Al Heyman, who's also not going to do that deal. Al Heyman in a million years, and then Floyd has no desire to work with that crew. ESPN, we've all seen, well, not we all, but the Kenny Albert interview. Shout out Floyd Mayweather. He's not a big ESPN guy, to say the least. But yeah, I think it's one of those things where if they can add a boxing there, now all of a sudden, I mean, and K1's available, things like that. You add that into the corner of ESPN on top of the soccer, on top of the other sports, on top of the documentaries, on top of all of that. Iger might be the one making out, as well as Ari Emanuel and all of those guys are. And that's the scariest part to me, is Disney might make almost as much money on this as anybody, because I mean, think
of all the deals that Iger's worked when he was the head of Disney, Marvel, Star Wars, Fox,
100%.
I mean, he knows how to build.
Yeah.
And if you get him involved with this crew, it's unstoppable.
Yeah, UFC and WWE. I mean, and I hear where you're coming from on the separate thing. I think that's when they're operating separately. They're not anymore, right?
The one thing I'll pass right back to you, but I will say on that though is how I think it would make sense is if you got to pay more to get them both together or something on a tier base.
It's a package deal.
Because
I agree with you on that. I think what it'll be is you got to pay more to get them individually. The package deal will be slightly, so it'll be one of those classic, like it's $7 a month for the UFC, $7 a month for the WWE. It's $12 a month for both.
Yeah.
Ball game.
Yeah.
15 with no commercials.
And if anything, you're going to get more fans.
Endeavor, reach out. I can't leave WR, but I will if you like that idea. I think it's a
That
good
is
one.
brilliant. I think we got a couple of comments as well in Chaos. I think we got one from Melissa. Hello, Melissa.
Hey,
Welcome to the show.
Melissa
And I think we
from
got-
California. Hello.
And we got one from Carl as well. Carl Ginahan, that's a throwback. He used to host a podcast
So
me
much-
back in the day, Carl. But Carl is asking, the Cody character is so much more interesting. He was chosen by the fans to win for his family. Will he be able to have a second run basically and finish the story? Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that in the next segment. We're gonna get, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna be talking about it in detail. But let me just check the clock quickly. 25, perfect, absolutely perfect. Now, thank you, Anthony, for joining us. And what we're gonna do is because of the mic issue we've got, we're actually gonna slightly change the plan. I'm calling an audible. What we're gonna do is. Clark, you're going to be on for the next 5 minutes, then you're going to swap with Chaos.
Oh, sweet.
Which is brilliant. And we're going to go to a 2-chair format.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Can I get in the comfier chair? I'm just kidding.
No, I'm not letting you.
No, but we're gonna put Chaos in the comfy chair, and then I'll pass you the mic when I leave, and I'll bail on the back side of the bed.
You'll jump from one bed.
By the way, in case you guys are watching live, you are on my bed.
Yep, you're on Clark's bed.
It's been really comfy.
But let's now talk about the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. He shocked the world last night at WrestleMania Sunday when he defeated Cody Rhodes. The match was all going to plan, all of that, and then Solo Sikoa came back out after being, chucked out by the referee, and he cost Cody Rhodes the match. The crowd, somebody threw a rubber chicken at Cody. The crowd was very up. I think it was aimed for Roman. The crowd was very upset at everything. But there were also a lot of people who were also very happy about it. Being there live, I'm going to be honest, I actually thought Roman winning was maybe a tiny bit more fun. It didn't hurt my enjoyment, I'd say that. But from a booking perspective, I'm not going to lie. I don't know who you can have to replace Roman now and how many more storylines there currently are on the roster for him to continue as champion with. But what were your thoughts, Clark? How are you feeling about Roman Reigns continuing his record-breaking reign?
I gotta admit, because on paper, it's really hard to root against Cody. I understand that and all, but at the end of the day, and this may make me a bit of a scummy fan, I kind of wanted Roman to cut the white meat babyface in half and cheat to do it. And he did, and I loved it. Because guess what? We don't always get to always leave happy.
Yeah.
Unless you're just there to have fun. And I loved it. I loved every second of it. I thought the match was all time. I thought the match was outstanding. It felt electric. It felt like a Mania main event. It felt like a heavyweight championship match.
Yeah.
And that's the key. It didn't feel like just a title match. This felt like a heavyweight championship match from start to finish. Everything about it. The reactions to Solo getting kicked out and coming back, the reactions to the Usos and Sammy and Kevin, the work outside of the ring, the table spot, and then Graves and Cole calling the rest of the match on their feet.
Yeah.
And
Cole getting excited
all the way
as well.
down to the rubber chicken.
Yeah.
The way that it's divided the audience, that tickled me. Personally, it cracked me up that Roman won. I didn't care who won. I was there for the spectacle. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah.
I didn't have a dog in the fight. Doesn't matter to me.
No.
I just wanted to be entertaining. And at the end of the day, it was perfectly entertaining. I have no issue with the booking decision. In fact, I actually would have gone that route because, and we talked about it yesterday, and I don't know what I can do on the Vegas odds thing. Is that cool? But the odds swung in Roman's direction an hour before the match.
Yeah.
Essentially, right? And in Vegas, unfortunately, the house does never lose. And that one was pretty telling this time. We've seen some other ones that were dicey, a bunch of fans hammering a line and moving it. But this was one that clearly, once it shifted into Roman's favor, I think it was affected by the sale. I don't want to make a full claim, but
it's so quite. I was told this morning as well. No, I was told last night actually when I did a post to the Instagram,
right,
where I said that I speculated that was the case, and I was instantly sent a message saying that is not the case. And multiple sources this morning have actually said it's not the case.
Interesting.
It was decided before the sale.
Either way, I find it fascinating. I don't want to lob out too much stuff. We've thrown out maybe there's a Rocky story to be told. Remember, it was a draw with Apollo, but him being cheated out of the win, it's pretty similar. right?
Yeah.
The Rocky 1, Rocky 2, he comes back and gets his redemption, right? And then
Good story.
maybe we give him Clubber Lang, Brock Lesnar for Rocky 3. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Not a bad call. Or Clubber Lang, Bobby Lashley, maybe.
But I mean, the issue which we've got now is right. And we spoke about this last night. You said that no. I asked you who do you think's ready, and you said nobody because somebody needs to step up.
Somebody needs to step up.
But and I completely agree with you there. 100%. But the issue is until somebody steps up, do we have enough opponents for Roman Reigns to sell pay-per-views with?
Yeah,
which he's not already done it with.
I think absolutely, because you can do rematches and tell those stories along the way until someone builds himself. I don't mind seeing Roman and almost anybody that's already been on the docket. Wow. I don't mind seeing Roman and Seth. I don't mind seeing.
Certainly not.
I don't in the least mind seeing Roman and KO again. I don't mind seeing Roman and Sammy again. I don't mind seeing Roman and Drew. Roman and Drew would be fascinating. Roman and Sheamus would be fascinating. There's plenty of matchups, and he doesn't have to lose it for them to still be intriguing.
Yeah,
they can continue to convince us like they did this time. That's Cody's the guy to get him. They can continue to do this. And this is the one. This is your guy. He's going to get him. No, he's not. No, he's not. And every inch they nudge that up the line, it makes it even bigger for who finally gets that honor, who's finally put in that position. Whoever it is that steps up to do it. Could be, I mean, I mentioned names that he's faced before, but it could be almost anyone. Whoever it is, it'll make their whole career. But they got to keep it going. Don't pull that trigger too early because he's still firing on all cylinders. And based on that press conference last night, he's still fully motivated.
Oh, yes.
To be here and be in it and be a part of the show. And given the sale too, if Roman wants to go to Hollywood, there's not a better start than Endeavor.
No,
so
certainly not. Well, maybe Disney.
It might make it easier to. Well, I mean, Disney's not an agency; that's a studio, right?
Well, that's that.
And I mean, so to have Endeavor have your back is a huge, huge deal. And not only that, for me, Roman Reigns is doing his best work, not his best work, the best work.
Yeah,
that we've seen anyone do in years. And that's no knock on Cody Rhodes. But when they say finish the story, I would like to add telling between the middle of that. Finish telling the story.
It was not written very well.
And I think that, and I hope Cody was involved in that too. I bet he knows that because he goes, you know what? We didn't tell the whole story. We didn't have enough time.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that was a factor. And I hope it was. Because I think Cody's got the mind for the business and the knowledge for the business and knows that sometimes when you take the hand out of the cookie jar, makes the next chocolate chip taste better.
It absolutely does. And you got Anthony. I cannot.
So sorry on the name.
Manzano.
MOB.
Yeah. He's saying his prediction is when they debut Bron Breakker, they're going to build him as the next person to dethrone Roman by him winning the United States Championship. I think that's certainly a possibility, but I think it's going to be a couple of years until Bron's ready at the earliest for that. And I really don't know if we have time for 2 years of Roman still being champion.
Yeah, I don't know if Braun has the charisma either to match him at this point in his career. I think he can develop over the next 2 years on the main roster with some more mic time and stuff like that. He absolutely has the athleticism, the build, the intensity, all of that, the generational stuff, his history, everything. He's got all of that. I don't know if he's quite ready on the microphone to stand toe-to-toe with Roman Reigns operating at this level. I mean, what Roman Reigns did in that press conference last night was unbelievable. We talk about it being in kayfabe. It was I was riveted by it.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, even not to throw Nick Hausman under the bus, but it got me so good. The Heyman interaction, it was outstanding.
But yeah, I mean, it is. There's a lot of things you can do from here. We're not exactly sure what they're gonna do yet. Bron Breakker, I think, could be the next big guy for them, but it's gonna take time. However, we are now going to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna have to say goodbye to Clark, and we're gonna introduce Chaos to the mix.
And then you give him that mic.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you, guys. Okay, wait. Sorry.
Live radio,
my friends.
And here he is, the man himself, Chaos.
Hello.
Welcome.
Oh man, here we go.
Oh, nice,
That's
nice,
great.
nice.
Look at
There
me
we
looking
are.
all sophisticated.
Right. Okay. So I was sitting next to, I wasn't sitting next to Chaos. I was sitting 2 seats down from Chaos last night during the Roman Reigns match. And you were rooting for Roman Reigns, actually. And I mean, I was rooting for Mattel. I was throwing up those ones. I was doing all of that. However, I didn't actually think he would win. However, you were electric when he won Chaos. And so I'm presuming you think it's the right decision.
Yeah, because I acknowledge my trouble chief. I mean, uh, I said it before. I think I've said it on my show. That as much as I would love him to still be champion for the foreseeable future, I was ready to accept the inevitability. And it's even Soul is in the background.
Soul's throwing up the
Even
one.
he's throwing
What?
up the ones, and he was so anti-Reigns at Mania. When I do the vlog, you'll see what I mean. But yeah, the fact that he did the impossible, I was ready. I was fine. I programmed myself to be ready to accept the inevitability that the homelander of WWE, the American, the face of America was going to take down the final boss, as I said yesterday, Hihachi Mishima, level 99 boss of WWE of WWE. I was ready to program myself to not be disappointed, and then you just accept it, because they did one half of it on Saturday. I was ready for the second half. The fact that they did the first half and not do the second, again, it's also, I'm also intrigued what they're gonna do. It brought me back to when, as soon as I saw Roman Reigns sit next to Paul Heyman, and he officially confirmed the heel turn, when he was gonna be in that triple threat match at Payback. I was so intrigued, and now I'm even intrigued again to see where they go now. Since they've said they haven't done this has nothing to do with the sale. People can debate about that till the cows come home. But yeah, I'm just excited to see where they're going to end. Now, but at the same time, I'm also worried on how this story ends, because they had the perfect time to do it. They didn't do it. They think they can outdo it a bit. They can go bigger. Yeah, they can't fail us now. Otherwise, because right now, this reminds me back when Austin turned heel and he sold his soul to Vince McMahon. People debate that was probably one of the worst things to ever happen in wrestling. Austin said he would kind of wish that he called an audible and stunned Vince on that night. And people say arguably that was the end of the Attitude Era when he turned heel. So they have to wait for we have to wait at the end to see if this was worth the payout to keep him as champ. But either way, I'm excited. I was fine either way. I was totally fine, but even more fine that Roman Reigns won.
Absolutely. And I mean, in terms of now who can dethrone Roman Reigns, do you think there's anybody on that roster you think could be developed to the point where they could be the guy?
In terms of if you want to talk about long-term storytelling, I guess Seth is the next best option. Even though
he's not really passing the torch. He's the same age.
I wouldn't say that passing the torch, but the thing is, if you really want to build someone, it's not going to happen in the next year. There's no one within the next 12 months that is capable, unless they do a random thing, which is so Vince-like booking, to randomly just pluck someone that is usually a jobber and just make them WWE champion, i.e. Jinder Mahal. So, and it's just not believable. So if Triple H is going to be the creative, the head of creative, or like, still going to be a center part of the creative process, I'm sure he also doesn't agree with them random strap a rocket onto someone and then just shoot them to the moon within 3 months. There's no one right now that is capable of being believable within the next 12 months. If you're talking about someone to develop to possibly take him down, it's going to take, like Clark said, it's going to take 2 years. I don't think people has got the attention span or the patience. We've already done 3 years. I don't think we can do 5 years. I don't think I could do 5 years of Roman Reigns as being champion. So right now I also still think that wait until next year to do this Rocky story, I don't think that's the best option. I don't think that's the way to do it for Cody to do it. They had the perfect opportunity. Now they've put themselves into a corner. and then
The room upstairs flooded their bath and it's leaking through the vent. I need to call maintenance, so that's
Oh.
like in the background if I'm like interrupting.
Oh, okay, no
sorry,
worries at
no
all.
worries. As long as
See,
they'll do-
live radio, like I've said before, flipping heck.
Yeah.
This is the livest radio we've ever had.
The room above is flooded. They're off top, and I need to call maintenance.
Okay, fair enough.
Wow, flipping heck. But no, I mean that is a tremendous point you were making there about it all. Don't worry, we cut those comments. Yeah, so
Actually, no, we didn't cut 2. We did that one.
yeah,
already.
we done them.
The-
We've done them all.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah. So the other thing which I did want to perhaps ask is,
Yeah.
do you think that they're in a situation now where Roman Reigns does have to lose it before WrestleMania, or do you think he can hold it all the way until next WrestleMania?
If anyhow they somehow make it still interesting up till next year WrestleMania, every person in creative team deserves an award, like an Oscar or something, because we've built this up so much and the payoff was right there. I don't know if they could do it all the way till next year. If anything, they could easily flip it for Reigns to go to challenge for the title somehow, because the probability of getting Rock at some point, I don't think that's going to happen. It's looking less likely. So I think it'll be somewhere before then. My guess, they may wait for a Money in the Bank cash in. And then obviously, because now it's under Triple H's hands, he may be able to make it more interesting for him to like not lose it legitimately. It will be just through some shenanigans or something. I think that's the only way you could pry it. Who can win the WWE title or win the Money in the Bank? That's anybody's guess right now. Everyone's saying Sami Zayn or whatever. I don't know. I think that ship has sailed.
I think that's gone.
So yeah, I don't know. I can't say who could win it, but I think the likeliest chance I would say will be someone via Money in the Bank, and it's going to be someone that's worthy of it somehow. That's my attitude. But yeah,
I mean, the one person a lot of people said coming out of WrestleMania who might be, being given a huge push is Gunther. However, we should have actually seen it coming that Roman was winning when Gunther won.
yeah,
Because it was at that point where you were like, okay, well, they're not doing Gunther Cody, which was the logical next one. So
yeah.
But I mean,
Now that's all up in the air.
I don't think we could have Gunther. I think we could. I have Gunther Roman Reigns, but I don't think Gunther could be the one to dethrone him, because I don't think Gunther,
and it's heel versus heel. It doesn't make sense.
It wouldn't work for me.
It wouldn't work. It would definitely work for Cody, because there's obviously the seats were planted for the Rumble.
Oh yeah.
Now that's up in the air, unless somehow maybe Cody wins the Money in the Bank and then cash it. I don't know. And then he's gone could take that long time off. He comes, maybe wins the Rumble, maybe, and then he challenges Cody at WrestleMania. They could do that. But yeah, it's so up in the air. It's I don't know how to call it.
Yeah, no, it's a difficult one to predict. Just like it's difficult to predict if this room's gonna flood by the time we're finished in 120 seconds. But let's hope it won't.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, it's one in which we're gonna have to wait and see. And part of me says, oh well, that's exciting. We don't know, we can't predict this, and it's fantastic when we predict something and we get it wrong. It makes us feel like kids again watching wrestling, because it throws us all off. But at the same time, there is the risk of things getting stale, and it's the fact that it's gone 2.5 years without things feeling stale, as shocking as it is. So at this point now, I am looking at it like,
I mean, the fact that this was
the
fact that this was so organically built up, Sami Zayn was not meant to be part of it.
No.
The thing that was with Cody Rhodes was not necessarily, especially with the injury. It just everything fell onto their lap.
Yeah.
And they could have just gave everyone what they wanted and then made the fans go home happy. But the fact that they've actually said no, we still got more to tell. It's now it's a bit of a worrying time. We'll see what happens after tonight, after Raw.
Absolutely. And of course, tonight is the Raw of the Mania. It's going to be huge. We're going to be there. I'm hyped. We're all hyped. We're absolutely hyped. And we will stay hyped. But I mean, that pretty much brings us to the end of today's show, guys. Thank you so much for sticking with us despite some technical difficulties once again. But yeah, it's been an absolute banger. It's been a pleasure being able to present to you all our thoughts on last night's WrestleMania and the sale. And we will be back tomorrow. Please leave a like, thumbs up, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for tuning in. Bye.
Peace. Here's who's that hand?
There's a magic hand.
What the hell?
Thank you.
No, I don't think you done
You pressed the wrong button.
it.